Welcome to the Melanin Jelly Project Conversations, a podcast that celebrates diversity and representation in children's storytelling, entertainment, and edutainment. I am the host, Olunosen Louisa Ivaze. On this podcast, I chat with authors and creators of children's books, entertainment, and edutainment. This is also a collaboration with the Ottawa Black Book Club. Okay. Welcome, Amel Farag, the author of Pretty Please with Cheese.
Thank you.
You're welcome. My name is Olunosen Louisa Ivaze. I'm the host of the Melanin Jelly Project podcast. I started this podcast as a way of celebrating representation and diversity in children's storytelling, education, and edutainment. I mainly write for adults and recently started writing for children. I'm also the founder of the Ottawa Black Book Club, a book club that is focused on books by authors of African and Black descent. So we've been running for 4 years now, and we have a multicultural membership because since COVID, we went virtual. So welcome, Amel. Welcome, Amel. Tell me about yourself and what inspired you to write this lovely book, because I really enjoyed reading it, and I read it again this morning.
Well, thank you so much for having me here. Again, my name is Amel Farag, and I am a mother of two little girls under the age of 4. I guess my inspiration for this book is my eldest daughter, Naveen, who's also the same name in the book. And she, as soon as she turned a little over 2 years old, she started to be more, expressive with her personality. So each night she tries to find new ways to avoid going to bed because she just wants to hang out with mom and dad. So, it's just watching her grow and things like that. So one day I was nursing my youngest daughter, and it was around like 2:30 in the morning, and I was just laughing to myself how Naveen always finds funny ways to avoid bedtime. And I said, you know what, this is interesting, because I'm like, am I the only parent who experiences this? There must be other parents who have the same fun experience with their child. And I just suddenly had this urge to just write down a few words. And then, I went to bed, and the next morning I was just still thinking about the story, and I said, to my husband, I'm like, I want to write a story. Maybe it's just only for her, but I just want to write this story so much. So he said, yeah, go for it. And that's how it started. I just writing the story, and then I had to look and, how to be a self-published author or a traditional author. But I said, let me just try the self-published way and see where it goes.
Okay. Why did you opt for self-publishing? Did you make any attempts to see if your books could get traditionally published?
I did my research for self-published versus traditional, the traditional way. And the reason why I did the self-published way is because, I'm a mom. I'm staying at home right now, I'm on maternity leave. Okay. And working with a traditional publisher wasn't feasible for me and my schedule. So I said, you know what, let me just do it my way. And also because in my background, I'm used to doing a lot of things to put stuff together, organizing, logistics. So I thought this would be an extra challenge for me. I don't know. I just go ahead and do these things sometimes.
Okay. And what were some of the challenges? Okay, let me put it this way before I ask that question. What are some of the things you wish you knew before you went into self-publishing?
The things I wish I knew, I think it's to do with the timeline. Mm-hmm. And what entails when I'm approaching, for example, editors or illustrators, the type of work that goes in, and also the marketing aspect as well, because once the book is done, obviously it doesn't stop there. You have to market it, you have to approach people, you have to make sure to keep the sales up, if that's what I'm going to go ahead with. And that was the things I wish I knew a little bit more refined. But I just went by intuition and whim for the most part.
And what are some of the things you have learned so far? What are some words of wisdom you can give aspiring authors who are thinking of self-publishing from the lessons you have learned, lessons learned and best practices?
Lessons learned. I think if you're an aspiring author, don't sit on the story too long. Because once you get that surge of energy and you know you want to write it down and don't be afraid. That's the most what I keep hearing. People are afraid and they put it aside, and they really want to go with one way or the other. Like they want to do traditional publishing or they want to do self-publishing. Just try. There's a lot of avenues to do it. So try not to be your own, your own block. Step out of your own way and do it. So that's my biggest advice. My second one is always do your diligence. There are other authors there that you might want to tap into. There's Facebook groups. Like I was with a Facebook group and I would ask them questions. People are always willing to help if you're looking in the right way, like in the right direction. So don't be afraid. You'll always have resources. There's lots of resources, online, offline, books. So try not to be so afraid when you're publishing a story that you're passionate about, and don't feel afraid and don't be insecure about it. Just do it.
Okay, so what are some of the challenges you feel that Black authors encounter when trying to tell authentic stories?
I think part of it is because we live in a society where we don't really talk too much about our authentic stories. Mm-hmm. So it feels like we have to explain too much of why we're saying what we're doing. So for example, I noticed that there are authors who use different terms for words or languages. So for example, I am from Africa, but my lineage blood is Egyptian, so I speak Arabic all the time. So my challenge would have been trying to explain, cultural differences. So I think the challenge is because there are not that many, and I noticed there are not that many authors out there. So when you're bringing something new, people kind of get to be taken aback, or they'll say, oh, well, this is too much, or, well, I don't know what you mean by that. So this is where the challenge is. And I think it kind of makes the authors feel less confident in themselves. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to say, well, what other people are trying to say? How can I make it so that it's widely accepted? It is already widely accepted. They just need to go for it.
Okay. How important how important do you think it is for children to pick up books and see children that look like them?
Oh, it's very important.
Yeah.
Very important. I think my daughter, when I first yeah. Oh my God. She loves the slides, by the way, all the time.
Okay.
I think it's very important for children of diverse children, Black kids, my child. But my child is of mixed race. So it is very important for her to see that there are differences. Like right now, she's in school, daycare, and they have, diverse children, and they do try and teach them diversity, but it's different when a child sees a character in the book, their eyes just light up. Like when my daughter saw this book, she fell in love with it, and she's like, Mommy, can you read Pretty Please with Cheese? And then I said, no problem. And then she would look at the character and said, well, who is this? She goes, that's me. She's so confident. Like you can tell the difference in the confidence when she looks at a book that has character that reflective of her, versus maybe any other characters, like say like maybe like a duck or a cow or whatever. I mean, like those things, they're beautiful for learning. But when they start to come to an age when they recognize characters, I think that's when like it's almost like a light switch goes off, and they just become more beaming, and they come saying, hey, I matter, I exist, I'm here, I just have just as the same book as someone else's does. So I think it's very important, and even to introduce it at a young age, especially, so they have that confidence going in.
Okay. I remember I didn't miss the fact that you said your child is mixed.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking at your book where when you sent the book, you said, "May this story bring a smile to your face and a laughter to your heart."
Yeah.
So, as a parent who has now become a writer, how do you think we can ensure that mixed children?
Her father, he's white, and he's descendant of Scottish heritage, Scottish and Polish.
Okay, so and now you see, so now this is you all the way from this continent, and then this is her father all the way from this continent,
Yeah.
and this is her in the middle.
Yep.
Now, as a writer, how do you think that writers, as a mother and a writer, how do you think that writers like you can write stories where mixed race children can have the best of both worlds? How they can feel a sense of belonging to both worlds? How they can feel that, you know what, I belong here, I belong here. I belong here and I belong here. Because sometimes I hear from people who are of mixed race, they say, I'm not black enough and I'm not white enough. So now as a mother and as a writer, how can you ensure that such kids feel a sense of belonging when they read books?
Well, to be honest, in our household, it's a little bit different because I don't know what other parents of mixed race children are experiencing or how their kids are experiencing. Mm-hmm. But I think part of it is normalizing the environment. You know, my daughters love their dad so much, and they love me so much, and we never, like, if they have questions, I mean, they're too young to ask questions like, you know, why mommy's this color, why my dad is that color. Like, we don't have that. But they're in a environment where it's just very nurturing and loving and open, that in any time, like, if there's any questions that are going to come up, we always have to make sure there's the child understands where their backgrounds are from. You know, they learn about the culture, they learn about society, they learn about anything that they ask for, and try not to so much sort of, you know, dumb it down for them. Children are very smart. And they are very attuned to everything, and we don't think so, but they are so attuned and they're astute, and they'll pick up on even the minor things that happens around them. So even like when I met my husband, he had to learn about my Egyptian culture. So I had to teach him even some of the language, because he also was open to it. And when you're open to it, it makes things a lot more easier. And that's how people get together, when they're open to learning, and when they're open to receiving new information. So as a mom, I mean, I wrote this story and it was just about her and me, and it does pass off as, you know, you can see a black mom and a black child, but at home is different, because when she sees that, she's like, oh, this is me and this is my mom. I'm acceptance of that, you know? And her father loves reading it to her too. So, I mean, we all make sure that there's a nurturing environment in there, and pay attention to how smart our kids are.
I think that's something as parents, I think that's something that as parents we take for granted. Mm-hmm. Parents just assume that, you know what, it's just a child, they don't have feelings, they outgrow everything, but that is not true at all.
Yeah.
They have, these little people have feelings. Because I was talking to an author on grief. She wrote a children's book and was talking about a child processing grief, the loss of a grandparent, through imagination. Mm-hmm. And she said, yeah, that children know. So sometimes when we try to, like, as African parents try to protect kids, sometimes they feel that, you know, by not telling you, go out and play, and you know, they say they do what they want to do. And she said, you tell them. They have different ways of processing things, but they know. Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, I grew up in the African environment. right? Where my parents, this is not concerning you. You don't need to worry about this. They hide stuff from us when we're kids because they feel that, you know, you may not understand because you're a kid. They're kids, right? You get dismissed quite a bit. But that's just the way the culture, it's intergenerational. That's how it's been passed on and passed on and passed on. And I decided to take the stand and chose to make sure that my children are not being dismissed. If they have something they want to talk about, if they have any feelings that they want to express, I mean, I make sure to have a conversation with them, even when they're little. I mean, my daughter is now going to be 4 this summer, and she's going through experiences, she's going through growth, and I can see it. You know, you can see the body changes. Kids grow so fast, so I have to like, I'm trying to keep up with her. It's not the other way around. I'm trying to keep up with her because I want to make sure that when she goes in her next phase of milestones, that she has some sort of support, like a support system. And if she wants to talk about something, express yourself in any way, whether you're happy or sad or angry sometimes, you know, I always say, you know, take a deep breath. Or how about, you know, we do something else to distract the situation? How about, you know, sing it out or stomp it, or, you know, like give her little things that she, like little tools that she will remember to know when she's trying to express her feelings, not so much as suppress them or dismiss them. That's something I am doing my best as a mom to avoid.
Oh, okay. That's very sweet. So how do you think that as Black authors what are some of the challenges you think Black authors face when trying to get published?
I think the challenges that we face, aside from being a Black author, right? If you're an author and you're saying, okay, I'm a Black author, I'm trying to publish my book. I think the challenges we face is that we tend to be overlooked a lot more. I notice. I mean, it's not only as being an author. You can even get overlooked in a job. If someone is looking for a job, they just tend to be overlooked. And unfortunately, it's to do with societal bias, right? So we live in an environment where Black people are seen different. You know, they're like, they said, okay, well, they have an attitude, or maybe they're not meant to succeed, or, you know, all these things that have been instilled for so long in society. It's hindering. It's unfortunate, but I think what needs to happen is that the authors just need to focus on themselves, and they need to go ahead and do what they want to do to accomplish their passion and their goal. If someone else is blocking their way, there are other avenues to do it. And if we weren't meant to have Black authors, there wouldn't be any book published, right? We have lots of Black authors now that they're coming out, supporting each other. There's lots of support systems that are happening. People are coming together to acknowledge each other's work, trying to work together to raise awareness, and also make sure that in the next generation, they have the tools and they have the confidence and they have the means to say, you know what, I am part of this society. I matter. I stand.
Okay. Now, what I usually ask authors sometimes when I interview traditionally published authors, I always ask them, how does traditional publishing affect the authenticity of your story? Because everybody has stories to tell. Yeah, you've written this book, but sometimes remember that we must always remember that publishing is first and foremost a business. Publishers want to publish what they can sell. So sometimes I always ask them, so when you write a story and your publisher tells you, well, this story is too Black, you need to water it down a bit because that is what we feel we can sell. So I like to ask authors how this affects the authenticity of stories, because sometimes you find yourself having to take out certain portions of the story because that's what the publisher wants. But do you think that self-publishing gives you more power? Because self-publishing, you already have autonomy. Everything, you handle. But do you think self-publishing gives you more power in the authenticity, in regards to the authenticity of your story, the story you have to tell? Because you don't have to water it down, right?
That's true. That is true. When you're self-publishing, you're not working with someone else who's like buzzing in your ear telling you need to water it down, you need to change the words, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do everything. As in, like for me, when I did the self-publishing of my book, the editor that I found, because I'm my own publisher, so the editor that I found was working with me instead of working, telling me this has to be marketed that way. Because there are editors that will tell you the same thing. Like they will say, well, I can edit your book, but if you want to, I was given, actually, when I was editing this book with an editor, she gave me two choices.
Okay.
And I was very surprised how she asked that question. She said, is this story meant for a home story, or is this story is going to be for the public? Like, is this out or in? So I said, I didn't know where to go. I said, no, I want to share my story to a lot of readers. But you know what? It's interesting because she also worked with me and the final say was mine. So I felt I had that authenticity and I kept it to how I want my story to be read. She only elevated it for me and showed me where things, but I honestly added rather than taking away, because my story was meant to be like even smaller words than this. What you're reading, I added a lot more to it because I just wanted, it's more of the structure for me. The idea was there, but it's the structure how I wanted to take it. So I never felt that I had to water it down. And like if I were to be, for example, if I put myself in a different position and say I was signed up with a traditional publisher, and they told me to water down my story, obviously that would make me feel hurt, because now it's taking away something that's from like my authentic way. So I would probably, knowing my personality, I would probably not work with that publisher. I would take the risk and not work with that publisher, because once the book is done, once you work with a traditional publisher, I mean, you still as an author have to market your own book on your own.
Yeah.
So all these people who have worked trying to dumb down your book, trying to water it down, try to remove things, try to shut it down, and all this stress and energy that you went through so that you can please, a million people, you still have to go and do the work yourself. You don't have the traditional publisher holding your hand. You don't have them doing your PR for you all the time. You don't have them going on your social media and talking to people saying, hey, buy my book is great. They're not there anymore. So is it worth it? And this is why I decided to do also self-publish. I'm like, you know what? I don't know anything about self-publishing. I don't know anything about traditional publishing, but I felt called to do self-publishing. It worked for me also as a mom of two.
Okay.
The timelines worked for me because I got to control my timeline as well. I got to control when the book is going to be published.
Okay.
I wasn't working with someone who's saying, well, I need it by tomorrow. Where is the book? Where is this? Where is that? So it's a little bit of both. And I think I hope I answered your question.
Yes. Yeah. So how did you find your illustrator? I wish your illustrator was here. I would have loved to ask her a few questions. How did you find her?
How did I find I found her through Facebook. So I'm part of two different Facebook authors groups. One is the Black authors and African authors, writers and illustrators, and another one is just everybody.
Okay.
And I put out feelers out there and I said, I'm looking for an illustrator to illustrate my book, and I've given them the criteria. So I had to give them I'm looking for, because I had an idea of how I want the drawings to be.
Okay.
So I put the criterias out there, and then I And I all of a sudden sat back and I had lots of illustrators coming. I can do your work for you. I can do your work. So I had to look through their portfolio. But in the meantime, I was looking through other places called the Children's Author and another one called Fiverr.
Okay.
And they had lots and lots of beautiful, like there's lots of talented illustrators out there.
Yeah.
Lots.
Yes.
So you just have to go with what your gut tells you. And that's how I found Damla.
Okay. And in terms of because I'm looking at, I'm still in awe. Like apart from the beauty of the drawings, I'm looking at the text, the way she whose idea was this?
That was, you know what? That was a collaborative effort between me and the illustrator. She did the text and it was plain.
Mm-hmm.
Just the plain, you're plain black text. But the thing is, I wanted some of the pictures to have some sort of movement. I don't know why. I just felt like I wanted movement.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look in the picture where it says, I want to swoosh down the slide, the one where she's going down the slide, Naveen is going down the slide.
Swoosh.
Yes. So I told her, I said, can you do something that's like a swoosh, And she said, you know what, maybe let's have fun with, let's have fun with the text. So she said, okay, I have an idea. So she went and did her own thing and came back to me and said, oh, I like this. So we kind of started building on. It was a very collaborative effort between me and the illustrator. So we had fun going back and forth, trying to do the colors. I also tried to make it so that it's readable, because there are design aspects. Children's books is not, obviously, it's not simple.
It's not.
Words have to be right. Design and layout has to be right. Yeah, Mer Bunny. We had Mer Bunny, the bunny. Oh, the bunny, that was...
Yeah, I see it here.
Yes, she's the mermaid bunny. Yep.
Okay.
So I asked her if she can subtly make the bunny be her partner, like a silent partner to Naveen.
Mm-hmm.
And in every page, you'll notice that the bunny's doing something different.
Yeah.
Yeah. From having a bath with her, from being in the safari, from being a mer bunny, from being a fairy bunny. So we had so much fun doing that.
Yeah. How important do you think the power of imagination is for kids? Because that's what I'm getting from this story. The beauty of imagination. Yeah. She doesn't want to go to bed. She doesn't want, like many children, she doesn't want to go to bed. I remember I was reading on Facebook, and a mother had written that she was trying to put her sons to sleep, and one of the boys, they didn't want to. I think they were watching TV, and one of them goes, "Mommy, I've forgotten how to sleep." How do you tell? So now you can see that she is reluctant, but mommy is able to get her to do all these things through imagination.
Yes.
How important do you think imagination is for kids?
I think it's very, very important for our kids to still have their imagination, even us as adults, to have imagination, because that helps us see through the challenges, and it helps us overcome even daily stressors. When you have an imagination, that lights up your whole being, and it lights up your brain, and it makes you feel great when you have an imagination, because then it teaches you that there's no limit to what you can do. So you carry those imagination with you, and you become a creative problem solver. I mean, I had to do creative problem solving being a self-published author. If something is not done by this day, I'm like, okay, well, let me see how I can do it a different way. Even with the illustrator had to have her imagination to do the letters, to see what I envisioned, to bring it to life. So when kids have an imagination, it's very important, because it's very healthy for them. It makes them more confident. It makes them have less stress. I feel it helps with their stress levels. It makes them it's one of those early ways that they can express how they feel. So I mean, there are kids who have imaginary friends, when they have those things, at least that it's a way of expressing themselves and expressing who they are, and that's done through imagination, and it's very important to nurture that in them.
Yeah, I think the power of imagination does a lot of things for children. Yeah, it helps. I think it helps them deal with a lot of challenges. Sometimes it helps them disappear. It leads to healing, sometimes temporary, sometimes permanent. Yeah. Would you like to read your story to us?
Oh, sure, I can do that.
I always
Definitely.
Because I always tell authors that every author knows the tone they want, the tone they've written their story in, and how they want their story to sound. So,
I read this. The sun has set, and it was time for Naveen to get ready for bed. Mom was running the bath. Mommy, I'm not tired, said Naveen. I want to go to the park. Please, Mommy, pretty please with cheese? I want to swing all the way up to the clouds in the sky. I want to swoosh down through the tunnel slide. Sure, we could go to the park, Mom said. But first, how about you slip into the bath water? The bubbles smell like strawberries. Naveen dipped her toe in and then plopped down in the water. She was a mermaid in the sea, diving deep down on a treasure hunt. Mom brought Naveen's soft hooded towel. But Mommy, I haven't found my treasure yet. I want to stay a little longer. Please, Mommy, pretty please with cheese. Of course, we'll have time to get your treasure. But first, how about we change your mermaid tail back into legs and wrap you up in your princess dress? Naveen stepped out of the bathtub. Her dress was the most poofiest, glitteriest, purpliest princess dress of all. Now it was pajama time. But Mommy, I want to play a game. Let's be lions in the forest. Please, Mommy, pretty please with cheese? Why not, my princess? But first, how about you put on your pajamas? And soon Naveen was crawling with the lions through the giant shrubs. She even joined in some lion games too. Mom closed the curtains. But Mommy, I want to play with the lions. Please, Mommy, pretty please with cheese? Certainly, my little lion cub. But first, how about you lie on the bed? It's pretty comfy. Naveen yawned a big lion yawn. But Mommy, I'm hungry. Can I have some ice cream? Please, Mommy? Pretty please with cheese? Yes, we can have some ice cream. Mom fluffed up Naveen's pillow. But first, how about you rest your head on the pillow? But Mommy, my eyes are still open. Naveen rubbed her eyes. I want to dance and sing songs. Please, Mommy, pretty please with cheese? Okay, you can dance and sing songs, Mom replied. But first, how about I tuck you in? Naveen's blanket felt so cozy. But Mommy, I'm not sleepy yet. Naveen's eyes were nearly closed. I want to read one more book. Please, Mommy, pretty please with cheese? Absolutely. We can read one more book. Mom smiled. But first, what if you squeeze Bunny tight and I can sing your favorite lullaby? Naveen curled up in her comfortable bed with her head and nestled on soft pillow, and she held Bunny close. Mom turned on the nightlight. Mommy, I want to cuddle with you, Naveen said sleepily. Please, Mommy, pretty please with cheese? Definitely. I would love to snuggle with my Naveen. Mom settled in for a little while longer and kissed Naveen goodnight. Now go to sleep, Naveen. Pretty please with cheese.
Oh, that's so nice. So what would you like to see for your books? What would you like to see for the future of your books?
I would like to see that they are in as many homes as possible
Mm-hmm.
to share in the experience of how such a young mind can be so creative and to not ignore their cues of being able to communicate back with you as a parent. Their child will always be there to challenge you and you know and try and get you know get this sense of who they are, and you're there to nurture them. So my future is just to spread this joy, but also make sure that the parents also understand that it goes both ways. You're nurturing the child and they're teaching you too. So that's where I would like it to be. And also I would love to translate it as well. So I would love to translate the book eventually in French and in Arabic.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
very nice. My book is in French. I have it in English and in French.
That's amazing.
My two books. So what did you do? Did you do a Kickstarter to get your books printed, or you just wrote them and then you printed, you did bulk printing? What did you do?
I did the book, and then I reached to different publishing companies, like printing press companies, to print my book. And I found one in Quebec.
Oh, Quebec, just here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Marquise.
Okay, I need to take note of that, because people always talk about, oh, it's always China. But I had interviewed an author that says she kept her publishing, her printing local. So it saved her on, she said it saved her on cost of shipping to her.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the end, when it's done, I did my research. I was going to do it overseas, with a publishing company, and then I thought to do it here. And for some weird reason, the overseas didn't work out. Like, something told me just not to do it. I just listened to my intuition for that, and it turns out when I was comparing the prices, it's kind of still the same in the end.
Yeah.
So the shipping was a lot, and also the timeline of when it's going to be shipped. You don't know how long it's going to be when over the plane, how much you need, all that kind of thing. So I thought, I'm an author in Canada, and I thought I'd keep it in Canada.
Okay, so when you printed in Quebec, how much did it come up to you? So let's say you printed 1,000 copies.
No, they didn't have a. Well, they didn't have a minimum. They didn't have a minimum, really.
Oh, really? Okay.
I wasn't gonna order 10, obviously, because it's gonna cost a lot to do 10.
Okay.
So I started with like 500 copies.
So for people who want to buy your books, where can they find your books to buy?
I am selling them currently exclusively on my website. So they would go to thegrownupmom.com. That's my website. Okay. And they can also find the link in my link in bio on my Instagram. My Instagram handle is called 2tinyauthors.
2tinyauthors. Okay.
Yeah.
So thegrownupmom.com and then 2tinyauthors. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna show you my books before we finish up. Yeah, because sometimes I meet maybe authors who have actually read the book, and then they have questions. But I always like to show people. So my books are, because I started, my very first job was as a teacher, so I'm always teaching people. So Crowning Glory is a history of African hair tradition. So here I'm talking about why we do the hairstyles that we do.
Yes.
But I'm talking about the significance of, back in the day, you could tell the family a person belonged to just by looking at the person's hairstyle.
Oh my God.
Yes. So I have that. And then the book, because I'm a teacher, so it has a teaching guide in it. So it's adaptable like for schools and all of that. Then the second one is the African Safari.
Oh my God. It's so cute.
Yeah, where I'm teaching children about introducing them to Africa's indigenous animals.
Yes.
In here you would see, okay, so these are supposed to be the creators, like the gods back in the day. You see the locks and then you see the clay pots, and they're pouring life into the earth.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so here you will learn about the big five, the little five, the ugly five, just basically teaching children about the animals on the continent. And this one also has a teaching guide, and it also goes as far as, teaching children, questions and answers, teaching children new things, because anytime I write, I don't know, I think it's the teacher in me that still goes back and say, okay, if you were standing in a classroom, so interesting collective names for animals, you find that here. So a tower of giraffe, a basque of crocodiles, a troop of gorillas, a leap of leopards for kids to learn. And then I also have these for them. These are the character dolls. So this is
oh my god.
Yes.
Queenie, is this the Queenie I talked to on the email?
No, so it was when I got it was just a coincidence. I had so this is Queenie and this is King. Yeah. Now the reason how I came across about that name is when I was thinking of character names for the kids, I was thinking I wanted to do Afrocentric names. Then I thought, okay, but I want a name that resonates. I mean, he's a king. We are kings. Before anything, as Black people, we are kings.
Yes.
Before anything else, we are queens.
Yeah.
That was what I thought. I said, okay, I wanted to call her Queen, but I just thought, you know what? She's a child, so Queenie sounds more.
Queenie.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you actually, did you have the intention when you're writing the children's book to do it so that it's to be for schools? Because I mean, you have lots of knowledge, words in there and activities and things like that. Was that something that you had in mind when you were trying to do the children's book, or you that came after?
So I think when I did the children's book, my goal then was to teach people, because I always say I'm an adult writer. I write for adults. Yeah, I write. I mean, if you come across, look, writing for adults comes easily to me. I just sit and start to write. So I had writer's block. So I still have like 6 manuscripts that I don't know where to take the stories. So I said, you know what, Louisa, trick your brain, do something different. So I said, okay, why not write for kids? And I thought, but Louisa, you're not a children's writer. What would you be writing for kids? Do you know the language to write for kids with? Then I said, but I'm a history junkie. So you could teach children about history. And you know a lot about history. So I thought, okay, African history it is. So when I did my first few drafts, I had sent it off to publishers, and after about 10 rejections, I sent it off to a consultant. And she said to me, first of all, Louisa, your word count. 6,000 words for a 4-year-old, really?
Yeah.
So I had to edit it, bring down the text to about 1,005, because even this one with African Safari, I don't know what it is with me and text. Even after, because sometimes when the illustrator comes back, they still go, it is text heavy. So you see?
Yeah.
So all of this was after I had edited 3, 4, 5 times. I don't know. Oh my
goodness.
I'm obsessed with words. I just like I'm learning the tricks of children's writing that. So before, there were texts all over. So I just took out all that and just said, the animal is there, the name of the animal. The animal is there, the name. So this is okay for this. So yeah. So I had thought, okay, and I want this book to be versatile. If a child was reading this at home, a child should be able to read it. After reading, even if you are playing with friends and go, okay, I just finished reading this book. What have I learned from this book? Because I go as far as I put a letter in here. Dear readers, talk a little bit about me.
Yeah.
I put the map of Africa here, of the continent, so people understand. Because the name of the series is Africa is Not a Country series. When people say, oh, I went to Africa, and I go, you went to Africa. What country did you visit?
Yeah.
I don't like to hear, oh, I went to Africa. Then I have interesting facts to know about Africa. Then I also, because all of these initially were in the story. That's what made it 6,000 words. Then this one I intend to frame because this is a map of Africa, the African continent.
That's beautiful.
Yes, and it shows you the different hairstyles. Back then, you could tell who the royal wives were just simply from their hairstyles. Then interesting things to know about hair tradition in Africa is here. So when you do all of that, then you come in here and go, okay, if you were going to teach a child, so then there's also the word search.
Oh, nice.
This word search came about because of my niece, because she read it and she said, Auntie, there's no word search for me. How do I know the book is mine? Yeah. Then teachers and activity guide. So this is just a breakdown on how to use the book, how to teach with the book, important themes for discussion. The comb, everything is in here. So I did it so that it's a versatile. I wrote this book so that it's a timeless piece. Because you open it up, the first thing you see here, where you put your name, it says, I put here, this treasure of great knowledge belongs to. And then here you see, I put in a poem here. As people of African descent, we must teach our children the truth about our imperial ancestry. We must teach them about our great ancestors that walked the earth as the first kings, queens, warriors, jellies, healers, and people of great wisdom. Their blood runs through our veins, and their sweat has brought us this far. From our hair that reaches for the skies as it defies gravity, and skin hues that glow from the color of the darkest night to the brightest day. Our children must understand and honor this power and truth to carry on this legacy of Mother Africa. We must tell our authentic stories.
Yeah.
So that is how I start each. So I start that, and then the child writes his name here, and then they go on. The story starts.
I just feel like your book should be like in school boards or something. It feels like it's one of those younger, like grade like 1 to like 6 or something, like something to learn about hair. I don't know.
Children can use it till the age of 12 actually, because of
it's beautiful. Like it needs to be. I think it just feels like it's one of those textbooks that when you go to school, you're like, okay, we're learning about this today. It's like it just needs to be. That's how it feels like to me. I mean, even though it belongs as a children's story, I just feel like there's an elevation there that you did to it. It goes beyond that. It just goes beyond.
Yeah, so that's it. Because anything I put my name on, I always go, I want it to be a timeless piece. 50 years from today, when you pick up this book,
it'll still be relevant.
Should be still relevant. Yeah. So I have this. Then I have. I still have. So it's a series, right? So I'm talking about different aspects of Africa, the continent. I have the one of Christmas. You know how Christmas is in Egypt, how Christmas is in different parts of Africa. Rice that all of us talk about, the history, the journey of food. You know? So I have all of that. Yeah. So I think it's just my teacher's brain working. Yes. Yeah. You know, and people go, Louisa, how do you find time for this? I said, well, when it's a passion, it's not work.
Yes.
When it's
that needs to be like printed somewhere. When it's passion, it's not work.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like work. So, but Amel, thank you so much. I'm so happy that I got to chat with you. Thank you for sending me your book.
No problem.
It's way to my enchanted bookshelf.
Thank you.
Yes, and that is my, because people are always curious, who are those? So that's my legend wall there. That's Maya.
They're beautiful. I keep watching it. I saw Maya there.
That's Maya Angelou. That's Oprah Winfrey, the Obamas, Sidney Poitier.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Mandela. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Mandela, Mother Teresa, and a young Bob Marley. And someone says, Louisa, put yourself on there, and I'm like, yeah.
Yes, Louisa needs to be part of the legends. That's right.
To be part of it too. Yeah. So thank you very much. I hope that our goal is for this podcast to make its way to different homes, different living rooms, and for people to also learn.
Yeah.
Like now talking to you, somebody listening today will go, okay, this is what Amel went through. Okay, now I know that I wouldn't do this. A good practice. I would do this. I would do that. Yeah. Thank you so much, Amel. Thank you. It was great meeting you.
Thank you. And I hope everything goes well and God bless. And I'm still going to listen to your podcast. I'm going to be following you, making sure I'm going to keep up to date with what you're doing.
Thank you so much.